You ever watch an action movie and say, man, if someone actually did that, they'd break something? Well, we've got a show for you. On this episode of Moving Panels, we're heading into Hell's Kitchen to talk about Daredevil Season 1.
Welcome to Moving Panels, ignite the mic. From Gotham's alleys to galaxy's far, we dive in deep, we set the bar. Debates and takes, we bring the heat. Pull up a chair, join a seat. Moving Panels, where fandom takes flight. We review, discuss, and shed the light. Heroes, villains, every epic night. This is your show, your fandom's might.
Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows that are based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. And today we are diving into Marvel's Daredevil Season 1, the show that quietly reset expectations for superhero television by asking a very simple question. What if crime fighting mostly felt like pain, exhaustion, and bad decisions? Well, I'm your host, Laramy Wells, and joining me today is, look, I hope he's not offended. I love the way I wrote this entrance for him, or this intro for him, because Daredevil is a Catholic superhero powered by guilt, suffering, and ritual. And he hosts a podcast about a holiday built entirely on guilt, suffering, and ritual. From Totally Rad Christmas, it's Gerry D.
I'm not seeking penance for what I've done, Father. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do.
If that didn't, I'll tie that in. Wonderful.
How's it going, man?
It's good. It's wonderful. I've said several times on this show that Daredevil is my first love of comics. He was the first comic that I read. So I was very excited when this show was coming out. Look, I am a defender of the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Oh, wow.
I will say that. I will say the director's cut over the theatrical.
Yes, 1,000,000%.
But I am a defender. Is it a perfect movie or a good movie? Not necessarily. But I am still a defender. But this comes along and the heavens parted and we got the Daredevil that I think everybody wanted. When you first heard about this show, or let's just even say when you first watched, and we're just talking season 1 today, did you expect something like this from Marvel?
So at the time, it was mostly, phase 1. So we had Captain America, the first Avenger. We had Iron Man 1 and 2, Thor, the Avengers. I was not expecting this. I saw this and I was so in love. And I'm not super, let me rephrase that. I was not super into Daredevil. When I knew that they were coming out with this, I went back and reread some of the issues that I had read like a decade earlier, Man Without Fear, Frank Miller's like classic.
Oh, yeah.
So I went back and read some of that stuff. Picked up a few other things later on, with some of the other runs. But like, this made me into a Daredevil fan. Before then, I was like,
I'm sure it did a lot of people. Yeah.
This is great. This is, I read it. I was like, Frank Miller, yeah, you can't go wrong with Frank Miller. He did Dark Knight Returns, whatever. But then this comes along like, wow, they captured everything that I loved about that comic. They captured everything that I love about cinema, because there are some like fantastic cinematic shots in here as well. The acting, and I know we're mostly going to talk about season 1, but there's some things in season 2. That monologue that the Punisher gives up against that gravestone right after Daredevil rescues him in season 4 is like my all-time favorite moment in the show. It's just, it's amazing, So when I saw this, I thought, okay, Marvel's taking it up a notch. This is what I wanted. When they said they were doing a whole theatrical run and they were going to tie in these, now they have a television side, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted as a comic book fan.
Yeah. Just to be clear, this was still when things were kind of separate with Marvel, because the Kevin Feige ran the MCU. Right. And this was not Kevin Feige. This was Marvel Entertainment or Marvel Television. This is the same people that did like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it was connected, but it wasn't officially connected because obviously in this season, they talk about the incident.
Right.
which is obviously the Battle of New York from the first Avengers movie. And then there's the references like, well, maybe if you, what's the line? Maybe if you had
like a magic
hammer or magic hammer or a suit of metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
So yeah, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put this out here. As I dug deeper and deeper and was rewatching some of this, the amount of little Easter eggs and references that are in it is just so vast. I'm not gonna hit them all. So just know that if you're yelling at your device or you're like yelling at, well, what about this? And didn't you notice this? Yes, I did, but we're not gonna. We don't have time to talk about all of it.
No, there's way too much.
But let's go ahead and get into some of the information. So this season, Daredevil Season 1 premiered on April 10th, 2015. It was at the time exclusively on Netflix. It has now moved over to Disney+. That was when Netflix had their own little Marvel, kind of like CW had their own little DC, and was an experiment instead of a warning label. That's what I mean by the Netflix Marvel. The series was developed by Drew Goddard, the same guy who wrote The Cabin in the Woods, which I just throw out there, one of my favorite movies. And the show stars Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer who is the crime fighter Daredevil. Eldson Henson, who is always one of the Mighty Ducks to me, as Foggy Nelson.
That's how I knew him too.
Yeah. That and Idle Hands, like those are the two.
Oh, I forgot he was in that. I knew him from the Mighty Ducks, of course. Like when I saw him, I was like, oh, it's what's his name? But then also he was in the Hunger Games, like the 3rd and 4th movie.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
No, he and it's him and Seth Green in Idle Hands. You know, they both die, and then they're the corpses that come back. Yeah. Yeah. Then you got Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page, Rosario Dawson as, I'm going to say it, Night Nurse, Claire Temple.
Yeah.
And the great Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Is there not better casting as Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio in this?
No. And I remember when they first said it, because I remembered how big he'd gotten for some of his other roles, and I thought, wow, that's perfect casting, because I remembered him as, Pyle in
Full Metal
Jacket. Yeah. He was in The Cell, which I thought he did a really creepy thing. So I thought, okay, cool, I can take that. And of course, all his, Law and Order, or one of those that he's been. I don't remember the names, but like all of these, the man is like just fantastic, just amazing actor. He has such range. When I heard they cast him, I was like, this is so dope. Like, that's exactly what we need. And Charlie Cox, I remember not really knowing much about him at the time, but after seeing just the first
Stardust
episode,
was the only thing I think I had ever seen him in.
Yeah, I'd never seen that, so I didn't know. But after seeing that first episode, I was like, this man was born to play Matt Murdock.
Man, was he. Absolutely was. So the first season, for those of you not familiar, runs 13 episodes. As Jerry and I actually talked about before we started recording, Vincent D'Onofrio himself has said it's like a 13-hour movie. And it was almost immediately praised for its tone, the fight choreography, which I know we'll talk about probably more, and it's the way it's slowed down so that we could live within these characters.
Yes. Which, unfortunately, the movies don't get that opportunity, right? And so you have to get a ton of character development in such a really limited time. But the comics, you really learn these characters because you have 28, 30 pages to, develop these guys. And then it runs monthly or bi-monthly, depending on what it is. And so I really felt like it was watching or like reading a comic book on screen, because like you said, you really got to just know these characters, their quirks, their weaknesses, everything about them that I really feel, especially at this time period, was kind of lacking in some superhero movies.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and this was really I'm just going to say flat out, this was really the first Marvel product, and I'll talk about DC in a minute, but this is the first Marvel product that felt like it was unlike DC, not just dark for the sake of dark, but like real and
Right.
honest, emotionally honest.
Agreed.
Whereas, like the Snyderverse, a lot of it was just gritty and dark for the sake of being gritty and dark. Nolan probably captured it a little bit in the Dark Knight trilogy. But man, what they did with this show, and then would continue to do. I mean, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist.
We don't speak of that one.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those shows, they really were just so cerebral with the way that they developed characters and brought you into the story.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is interesting because, all these guys are street level heroes, right? Like everybody, it's really street level. But nowadays you go to New York and Hell's Kitchen is not this dark, gritty, crime-ridden area that, this show portrays, because this is like a really specific, like 60s, 70s era, early 80s era Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, like when the characters were created.
Exactly, right? It's so it felt like that. But at the same time, because it was so dark, because it was street level, they didn't have to be so big and grand and over the top. Like they could really focus on these character defining moments and traits that we get in the comics, like I mentioned, but also these interactions between each character and their relationships that are just not always quite present again and I love them all, but I just not quite present in some of the Marvel movies. And so I cherish that because they were able to take that street level and kind of equate it with a little more adult themed.
Agreed. All right, well, let's get into the comic book connection, and we'll have a little bit more to talk about here.
Yeah.
Step into the panels, heroes in action. Flip through the pages for your satisfaction. Feel the thrill and join the collection. It's the comic book connection.
So Daredevil Season 1 draws most directly, in my opinion, from Frank Miller's The Man Without Fear and Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's Born Again, using them as tonal blueprints rather than just direct adaptations. The Man Without Fear defines Daredevil's origin as something painful and imperfect. Matt's training under Stick is brutal, his early crime fighting is messy, and heroism is treated as something learned through failure. The show mirrors this by delaying the red suit and presenting Matt as a vigilante, still figuring out who he is, emphasizing endurance over spectacle. This is that black suit that I know a lot of people were kind of like, it looks horrible. It's from the comics.
It was, it's funny because I remember going on, at the time I was reading comicbookmovie.com like daily, like 3, 4, 5 times a day. And I remember there was huge debates in those forums. Like people, half of them loved it because it was straight out of Frank Miller, and the other half hated it. But the half that hated it were being told, well, go read the comics, by the half that loved it. So, it really was kind of quite polarizing. But honestly, for this kind of gritty, grounded take on it, it kind of made sense.
It works, yeah. It works. I mean, although he did wear the black suit in that TV movie of The Incredible Hulk.
It's true, he did.
You remember that?
Yeah, the trial of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. All right. And then Frank Miller's Born Again influences the series and how it portrays Hell's Kitchen and the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. The city feels oppressive and corrupt, as Gerry talked about, and Fisk is methodical rather than flashy. Someone who believes he is, in fact, saving the city, even as he is destroying it. Like the comic, this season of Daredevil focuses on breaking Matt down emotionally and spiritually, then letting him rebuild in small, hard-earned ways. Together, these stories shape a version of Daredevil that isn't about winning, but surviving, which is exactly the version that Daredevil Season 1 commits to.
Yeah.
So, Gerry, do you think the show gets the spirit of Daredevil correct, even with the way that they kind of remixed like all these different stories together?
I do. So I know specifically the producers while they drew heavily on these influences, it wasn't so much plot as it was just,
Correct.
just tone.
Like I said, the tone.
It's all tone, right? And so because of these, because those two that you were talking about, specifically Born Again and The Man Without Fear, because they're so pivotal in the Daredevil mythos, I feel like if you miss those two, you kind of miss the essence of Daredevil. At least the darker side, because later on we got some of those where they really tried. Was it Chip Zdarsky? They tried to like bring him a little bit more into the light, but like,
well, I mean, you go back to Stan Lee and Bill Everett creating him in 1964. He was more like a street pirate. Like it was more like like he had the big collar, and it was the
yellow and red.
It was more,
yeah,
it was more of swashbuckling superhero. Like haha, and so yeah, no, definitely the Frank Miller coming in and creating this darker version of Daredevil.
He just knows how to like reinvent these heroes, and
he does.
But you're right. The show totally captured that tone. And for what they were going for, I think that's what they needed to do, because especially now after 30 some years since these things have come out, it feels like if they had gone to that more cheery Matt, that more, carefree Matt, it just wouldn't have rung true at this point.
Nah.
So
no, again, it would have felt like the same old that we had gotten in the past.
Right. Or worse, it might have come off, and I love it. Again, it's one of my favorites, but it might have come off like 1966 Batman. It could have, and I'm glad they kind of avoided that. And thank goodness Frank Miller kind of reinvented Daredevil as more of this, just this guy can't win no matter what he tries,
And that's what I like, because as much as, again, I am a defender of the Ben Affleck Daredevil. In the Ben Affleck Daredevil, like, dude is leaping across rooftops.
Yeah, that was
with
some bad
with
CGI.
The greatest of ease, as if Matt Murdock, even though he is deemed a superhero, and yes, he has this quote unquote superpower with the way that his blindness enhances his other senses, he doesn't have super powers per se.
Right.
He is still a man.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the Ben Affleck one really got it wrong, because he's just, he's a strong, yes, he's like trained, he's Olympic level athlete, he's acrobatic, things like that. But the whole thing about Man Without Fear is not that he can just jump from building to building. It's that he's just, he can overcome these obstacles because, essentially, quote unquote, he can't see them, even though he can. But really, it's less about him being able to do these like Spider-Man things, and more about him just pushing through. And what I love about this one is that they really focus. Matt gets the stuffings kicked out of him time and time again, but he's a man without fear because he endures. He just keeps getting up and going through it, even though he's like half bleeding, and if he turns wrong, he's going to open up some stitches. Like, he's got to do what he's got to do, and he just puts on his boots and let's keep going. And
I think, again, that's just so much to the credit of Charlie Cox to pull that off.
Right.
Like, I like that his portrayal, because unlike Ben Affleck, his kind of cockiness and arrogance and all of that to it, I like that Charlie Cox gives a performance that feels restrained.
Yeah.
Like, his Matt Murdock is charming, but he keeps that guard up. He's confident in court, but he's uncertain in just his personal life.
Right.
And when Matt, Charlie Cox, whatever you want to say, when he looks tired, both emotionally and physically, like it feels real.
Yeah,
like
you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you slowly realize that being Daredevil for him, even though, again, that name does not come until the end of the season one.
Right.
Being Daredevil for him might be the worst coping mechanism imaginable. Like,
totally. But at the same time, it's like what he has to do, right?
Yes.
Like he has to do it.
And they tell that through, I think, a lot of the flashbacks with his dad.
Mm-hmm. Which I loved as well. I thought,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are usually down on child actors. I thought that child actor did a great job also, and yeah, I mean, it just everything about it was well done and well sculpted, and what's his name, Stephen DeKnight really did a fantastic job with it all, just molding it into partly his, partly Drew Goddard's vision. And I was bummed when he left for season 2. Because you can tell there's a difference.
There's a little bit of a change when it comes to that. And then we've already talked about it, but Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Oh. I mean, this is probably
magnificent. Yeah.
If I were to rank one of the of all comic book most fully realized characters.
Yeah.
Taken from the page and put onto screen, it is this Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, whatever you want to call him. And I love that they introduce him in the most almost fragile way. Like they don't start off by introducing him as the villain, even though we already know he is.
Right.
We start by essentially setting up a romance for him.
Well, and I mean, the romance to the character becomes quite central and really important as well. So
yes.
It makes sense. But, what's that saying that a good villain or a good villain never sees himself as a villain? He always sees himself as a hero in his own story. He's just going about it the wrong way, right? And a good hero needs a good romantic foil, which Vanessa really brings to the table here. But I do love how they tried to humanize him a bit until we get to certain scenes, with car doors. But they did try to humanize him a bit. And while I'm always hesitant with that, because sometimes it's like, just let your evil bad guy be an evil bad guy. In this case, I think it works to his benefit, because then when you see the brutality, it's a real juxtaposition. It's like that softer side versus bam, I'm going to cut your head off with a car door.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about some of just the way this is shot. And this is me going into my film study kind of side of me. The piece of art that he's looking at when he meets Vanessa.
Right.
Which is just this white, you see a few little texture in the wall and all that. But then you realize when we get the flashback, and I forgot which episode it was, but we get his backstory. Mm-hmm. We find out that when his dad beat his mother,
right,
he makes him look at a blank wall. And he's staring at a blank wall.
Right.
And then at the end, when Fisk is in prison, he's sitting on and he is staring at a blank wall. And just that, the way they're storytelling through that is just amazing and unbelievable. And then I love the fact that his iconic white suit
yes,
doesn't happen. He's wearing black almost the entire thing. And then what color is his prison jumpsuit? White. Love it.
It is, yeah, there's a lot of little details that really stand out. Of course, later on in the series, we'll see the white, the white jacket and all that. There's great detail in all of it. So we find out that his jackets are actually like bulletproof, essentially.
Like Kevlar.
It's like some sort of, something like that material. But
which are created by, here, I'll go ahead and throw in one of those Easter eggs, created by Marvel's, the Marvel character of
Gladiator, right?
My mind, Gladiator, yeah.
Melvin
my mind
Potter,
went
yeah.
Yeah. You even see in his workshop, you see the symbol that Gladiator has on his chest.
And
that's there.
Doesn't he throw
You see
a
the
blade?
legs from... Well, that too, yeah. He throws a blade. I actually think later in season 3, you actually see the blueprints for the razor blade arm.
That's amazing.
But it also in the corner, I don't know if you saw this, the stilts.
Oh, for Stilt Man.
Yeah. Are there too.
Talk about obscure.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
With
But it's all like, it's all these little details that really add up
Yes.
to everything. Because, of course, you're going to have confidence. And, of course, a man of this stature and power would need this kind of protection. But
And even though they've kind of, so when they've now introduced these characters to the MCU, you know, they brought Vincent D'Onofrio in on Hawkeye.
right.
In Hawkeye, he's clearly not wearing one of these suits because he's wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and
Right. I forgot what comic that. There's a specific comic that comes from, but I can't remember at the top of my head.
But I mean, he's slinging them around. He's
Right.
acting as if he is super powered in a way. And I don't know if they'll ever explain that, but I do like that in this, it's that he's not special. He just has this,
Right.
you know, this suit that, you know, makes, and I also like that, you know, at the build of Vincent D'Onofrio, it's like, it's kind of like the same thing they did with Michael Clark Duncan in the movie. You know, it's he's big, but it ain't because he's fat.
Right.
Like,
Right. That's
Yeah.
all muscle right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I remember as a kid, I always used to hate when they would pair Kingpin with Spider-Man. I was like, Spider-Man's gonna beat the stuffings out of this guy. Like, come on. You know, but Kingpin and Daredevil to me always made much more sense. Because yes, Daredevil's just a regular guy with heightened senses, but Kingpin is like this just beastly physical specimen, you know, like one of the strongman contest winners or something, you know. So to me, it always seemed a little more fair than like if you were going to put him up against Spider-Man who can lift, you know, however many tons and, but it works. It works.
It does. Let me ask you if this worked. What's your thoughts on Deborah Ann Woll as Karen Page?
Well, I mean, she's a cutie. There were times where she was a little annoying, not going to lie.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But when she was into the darker stuff, like when she, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it by now, but like when she gets kidnapped and then kills Wesley, and then her guilt and remorse over that later on, like her conflict inside, that I thought was phenomenal. And so it was those moments that I really cherished. Same thing in the first episode where she's like, she's been framed for this murder. She's crying. She's like confessing and like pleading that she didn't do it. But then she sneaks away to go retrieve like the file. Like to me, those moments were where she worked as a character more so than some of the other interactions of like her and Foggy.
Yeah. Like being the love interest to either one of them.
Right. Yeah. It's that part always felt a little odd to me. Now, I will say, as the seasons have progressed and now with Born Again, I'm much more comfortable with her in the role. But
well, they developed her character a lot more.
Right.
Like you said, you know, we get kind of more of her like dark background.
Right.
Essentially finding out that Wesley was not the first person that she shot and killed.
Right.
So yeah, we do get a little bit more
what are the chances
development
of that?
from her.
But
and of course she plays a bigger role in season 2 with the Punisher.
Right.
But here's the other thing. So what are your thoughts of her essentially replacing the character of Ben Urich? Because they kill him off in the second to last episode, or whichever one it was.
12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That felt unearned. You know,
I agree.
Or like unbelievable, I should say. And this is a comic book movie where you like suspend your disbelief, right? But just because she's good at investigating things or digging things up doesn't necessarily mean she's a good writer. And so I thought that was a little odd. And Ben Urich's such a staple character, but apparently I guess that was like something that Marvel told them they were going to do from the beginning before they even like had scripts or anything. It's like,
I'm sure
we're going to kill off Ben Urich just to show some sort of stakes, you know, that this thing is real. But her replacing him on like the actual paper, that didn't feel earned. It didn't feel earned.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was, did you buy the payoff? Because I don't think it was a good enough payoff that people pick up on it, that you end up finding out in the like final episode that it wasn't Ben Urich's boss that had portrayed.
Right.
Portrayed him, but it was actually like the
The
secretary.
secretary, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely wasn't a
Like-
good payoff because it's just done in the cutscene, right? It's just in the montage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
they don't actually say, "Hey, he's actually a good guy." Like you don't find that out until season 2.
Right, exactly,
So, yeah.
exactly. This whole time they lead you down the path of you think Ellison is, who's the editor, that he's the mole or he's working for Fisk, like he's been on the payroll. But no, he's just an editor, just trying to sell his papers. Papers don't sell, so he's doing whatever he can to get it to sell. So,
yeah, he was Ben's good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't portray him at all.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a good payoff. And I think if they had made more of a meal of it, even just like a scene, like rather than just in the montage, I think it would have paid off a lot better.
Yeah, at least with him. Like,
Yeah,
I'm fine with showing her getting arrested in that montage. But then pay off the fact that, have him have a moment where he's reflecting on the loss of his friend or
right.
something. Give us something. Anyway, I guess we should talk about Foggy.
Okay.
So what was your thoughts of Elson Henson's portrayal of Foggy Nelson?
It was weird.
Was he good enough to be the voice of reason for Matt?
Well, I'm going to say I think on the whole show he might be my weakest character. Or weakest performer, I should say. And it's not so much the character of Foggy. It's that every time I looked at him, it just didn't feel believable that he went to college with Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
Like he felt, yes, he had the beard and all that stuff. He just felt so much younger. And I don't know if that's just myself putting on the Mighty Ducks persona onto him or what, but I never quite, it just didn't gel to me. But then some of the flashback scenes, especially later on in season 2 and 3, when we see some of those, I again, at that point, we had lived with the characters for several years and several seasons, so it just rang a little more true. But for me, it was kind of hard to picture him in there. And then the episode 10 in particular, where it's like, him versus Matt. Matt's just been like completely destroyed by Nobu. He barely got out alive. Claire stitched him up, and then it's just Foggy and him just arguing. That seemed
Foggy becomes such a whiner.
Yeah, it seemed like, dude, get off your high horse. Just help him heal, help him do what he's got to do, and then you guys can get into it. But like that wasn't the time at all. Especially because, as we talked about off screen or off mic, sorry, it really slowed the momentum of the whole story. It's like we're building. He discovers everything happens, and all of a sudden, oh, sorry, we got to argue about this for a while.
Yeah, let's just have them bicker for
for
half
an hour.
episode.
Yeah.
Well, and then to round out kind of the cast and characters here, I guess the only other person to really focus on would be Claire, Rosario Dawson, who little did we know would be the Agent Coulson of the Netflix Marvel TV shows. She would be the one that connects them all.
Yeah, I liked it though. I mean, Rosario Dawson is always awesome, so I'll take it. But yeah it was another one like, oh, okay, you're here too. Oh, you know them. All right, let's do this, I guess.
Yeah. What did you think though of them creating? Because again, to jump into another show, we know she would eventually have a relationship with Luke Cage.
Right.
What did you think about them trying to do a relationship with Matt in this?
That was strange. I would have rather because they kind of teased he and Karen for a bit, right? I mean, she kind of had a crush on him. She would ask. She was asking Foggy, like, how does Matt see? And they were, I mean, and so they were kind of teasing that, and then all of a sudden, like Matt. But we also know Matt's a real ladies' man, so Matt can. to not to be too vulgar, but Matt pulls, so. It kind of makes sense, but it also felt a little like Speed. How Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves just like kind of really get into it. It felt like that. Just we share this trauma. For those that have seen Stranger Things, there's a shared trauma that binds us together, but it's not really like love. So it was a little out of place.
Yeah, I don't know.
But good for Matt. Good for Matt, I guess. I mean,
Oh yeah, and I'll let you talk about him being a ladies' man. I did like I think it is in the Nelson v. Murdoch episode. That's one of my least favorites. But I do like in the flashback when they're in college, he references, "Hey, whatever happened to that Greek girl that you were dating?" Yeah, they never say Electra, but we
know.
All know.
That's she's the only Greek girl he's dated.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
What's up, dudes? I'm Jerry D of Totally Rad Christmas, the podcast that talks all things Christmas in the 80s. Toys, movies, specials, music, books, fashion, and fads.
If it was gnarly during Christmas in the 80s, he's got it covered. Wait, is there a lot of things to talk about for the 80s and Christmas?
Well, you got the movie giants like Christmas Vacation, Scrooged, and A Christmas Story. There are TV specials like Muppet Family Christmas, Claymation Christmas Celebration, and a Garfield Christmas Special.
Plus classics shown every year.
You also jam out to Last Christmas, Do They Know It's Christmas, and Christmas in Hollis. But most of all, it was a time for the most bodacious, best-selling Christmas toys ever, like He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers,
and Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yes, them too. We cover them all, plus much more, including standard segments like Hap Hap Happiest Memory, Gag Me with the Spoon, The Other Half of the Battle,
and Chant with the Littles.
So tune in to Totally Rad Christmas everywhere you get your podcasts. Turn the clock back and dive into those warm and fuzzy memories.
Later, dudes.
And we're back live. Let the show continue.
All right, well, let's get into maybe a few of our favorite moments or more stuff to talk about. And I just got to go right to the top for me. Episode 2,
Yes.
Cut Man.
Yes.
The show, this is to me, as great as episode 1 is, it's episode 2 where the show really just kind of announces itself. And then there's the hallway fight scene.
Oh, man. Same. Like, favorite scene, hands down, no contest.
No.
All done in...
It then became kind of a trope in the Netflix series.
It was such a hit, right? You kind of...
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to one-up yourself. And you don't like to do it, but you have to do it. So season 2, episode 3 was the same thing. It became not just a hallway, but like with the staircase, and
Yes.
a whole gang. It's just...
And then they would repeat it in Defenders with all of 4 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in
taking
season
people
3,
out.
the prison scene, right, where he has
Yep.
to get out of the prison. So it's like this, it became a trope. I mean, they even copied it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that you mentioned earlier with Quake, Daisy Johnson. So,
Which another connection based off storyline, her and Matt, Daisy and Matt attended the same or went to the same orphanage.
that's cool.
St. Agnes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. I don't think I knew that. I don't think I realized that Daisy did too. But like that scene is a masterclass in fight choreography because we see a lot. There's a few things we don't see where they're like in the rooms and we just see like a microwave or something get thrown out.
Yeah,
But-
that's great.
yeah. Oh, it leaves it all to the imagination. But
We're in this empty hallway, and then all of a sudden a guy comes flying through the door, and then another guy comes around, and right as he gets to the door, he gets hit in the head with a microwave. Yeah.
and remember, Matt at this point has been thrown in a dumpster. He's also
Yes.
been beaten. He's bleeding. He's been stitched up. So he tore through some stitches in this fight
Oh, yeah.
here.
And I love that you hear him heavily breathing.
Yeah. He has to stop
know,
and rest too. Yeah.
Yeah. You get that exhaustion out of him as, he gets knocked down and he has to get back up, and it's such a good, and I don't know how big you are on other action movies or especially like some of the martial art type. Have you ever seen The Raid?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love The
So-
Raid. It's very
that's
much influenced.
very
by that.
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad because The Raid is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
It's one of the best action movies I think of the last like 20 years. But this whole fight scene, you feel his tiredness, his just how exhausted he is. You feel every punch that he gives and every punch that he receives. And he's just fighting for his life. He's doing a few acrobatic things that you can tell he learned from, later on we'll know, of course, Stick. But like there's times where he just used all his strength to punch someone, and he's kind of sitting there until he sees them get up. Well, not sees, but he feels them get up, and then he has to respond. And so he just has to get back into, okay, I'm ready for this next fight. And so it's wonderfully shot. It's wonderfully choreographed, and it's magnificent piece of art, and I love it.
Yes, and I love it is. Not to pop anybody's bubble, burst anybody's bubble or anything, but there are some hidden cuts in it, which if you know film, you watch, you can see where they are. But I love that it feels like it's just this 5-minute take,
right?
Because it's a 5-minute scene, of him just getting beating the crap out of other guys, and then of course ends with that just wicked spinning, kick, whatever you would call that, which is also the same thing he ends the fight with Stick against.
Oh, right, right.
It's like that's his finishing move. Yeah. So,
finish him.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so a boy's been kidnapped because they're trying to draw out the man in black. At this point, he's still wearing the black suit. And I mean, it's literally just like a black shirt and black pants and a black mask. There's no protection at all. And so that's why when he's fighting Nobu and he's cut severely. And I mean, that hook actually goes inside him and he's being dragged by that. There's no protection, but he's doing it so he can rescue this little boy and return him to his father, which he does. So good for Matt. And yeah, this was a A+ scene.
100%. Another episode that I stood out for me, and the first half of the season is just to build and build and build and build. So really my others here are from the latter half. So we got episode 9, which is Speak of the Devil, which is the episode that leans into the fact that he is a kind of like Batman, he's a symbol, that we see just criminals reacting to just the rumors about the devil of Hell's Kitchen. Yeah. And it's something that he's more than just a man in a mask. And I love, because just like I've said with Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, is that this show understands that fear is just as powerful as, his fists.
Right.
That, and this is the episode that I think really commits to that, which of course is leading into him fully embracing the superhero persona that he would become. Because I love, there's the lines of, well, even Lucifer was an angel once.
Right.
But what are your thoughts? And I know it's from the comics and all, but what were your thoughts of the priest, the father, who is kind of his, I guess, Alfred? I don't know how you would.
Yeah. He's definitely as confident. He's almost like his therapist.
True.
Sometimes. Father Lantom, I think, is his name. So I mean, I liked Father Lantom. I thought he was compassionate. He knew when to, when you have to adhere to the rules strictly, and when there's a moral gray area, like how to make the right choice. I like how he didn't really approve of what Matt's doing, but he was smart enough to know that it was Matt doing them, and that Matt's heart was in it for the right reasons. So, I mean, I thought he was a really good counterpoint to Matt's questioning morals. Because remember, Matt at this point is really struggling. He has to kill Fisk. He's dead set. He has to kill Fisk is the only way to stop him. But he's not sure if he can do it. And I like how Father Lantom basically is you can't kill this guy. I mean, he didn't go out straight up say it, but he's leading him down the path of, look, there's ways to stop him. You might think this is the only way, but it's not the only way. And so in that respect, I think he was a good spiritual director for him. I would have liked to have seen more of Father Lantom, honestly. I think there could have been a couple more spots where maybe he could have shown up and we could have gotten a little more of that. But what we got, I enjoyed. And I was sad to see, again, spoiler alert, see him die in season 3.
Yeah. But they play, and again, this is from the comics, and I'm gonna jump into season 2 and season 3,
Yeah.
mostly season 3.
Right.
You know, they play a lot with Daredevil and his connection to the church.
Right. Yeah, they do. They really do.
What do you think about that? Because Marvel's done it, I think, more so than any, because they also do it with Kurt, Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think? Like, do you think that Stan Lee, or, I mean, because Stan Lee's mainly the one who created it, but then Frank Miller really ties into it as well. I mean, but what do you think about having a character like Daredevil being tied to this religious aspect, the spiritual aspect?
I think it's good, honestly. I mean, you think about Superman, and Superman's not really like religious per se,
Correct.
but at the same
But
time,
he's a Jesus character created by a couple of Jews.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's good to have. I mean, in this world where there's omnipotent beings and all, I'm like, you know, there's a little kid that can literally control all reality. If you're thinking about Franklin Richards, you know, I mean, it's like all this stuff. I think it's good that there is a character that's like, well, this is what I was taught to believe. I uphold this, because there's something inherent in all of us, you know, that wants to uphold, at least for most of us, uphold the traditions of, you know, our forebears. And so there's something I like about that. And I like that it's kind of a struggle, which everybody has to deal with, whether it's actually believing in religion or something else. You know, we all struggle with this. And what I love about Daredevil specifically, and not just Catholicism, but Christianity in general, is that he has to really, he fights with himself about like, well, is what I'm doing right versus like, do I let it go? You know, it's like that, the whole problem of evil thing that people bring up, atheists especially bring it up about Christianity. And so he's like there square in the midst of it. And of course, being Catholic, there's lots of guilt involved. So that definitely rings true. But
And I think that's where it gets in. It's that guilt that he feels. Like, can he be both a good man and be the Daredevil?
And hurt people, right? Because that's,
Yes.
I mean, that's what he's doing. He's sending these criminals to the hospital, right? What happened to turn the other cheek? But at the same time, he has to defend these people that can't defend themselves. I mean, they were going to kidnap those girls, you know, in episode 1. I think it's episode 1 that he rescues, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're literally going to traffic these girls, and so he has to save them.
Yeah.
So it's like, at what point? And so then you get into the just war theory, and then you can really go down the rabbit hole. But it really is this conflict that a lot of us have inside. It's like, well, I know I have to uphold freedom and I have to treat people correctly and do everything like that. But at what point do I stop someone from doing evil? And what point am I the one doing evil by stopping them? You know, I mean, it's just, there's these questions that are really philosophical and theological that I kind of like that we just get a little taste of it here.
Well, and there's even the one guy who they're kind of forced to be the lawyer for.
Right.
And
right.
And he gets off, and Matt then just goes after him.
Right.
And then because he forced the guy to give up Kingpin's name, the guy then, in the most brutal way, offs himself.
I know. It's like, whoa, you just did that. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, he's, you know, again, it's that guilt. But again, this is part of that, you know, Frank Miller in Born Again. Like during the Born Again storyline, Frank Miller just stripped everything from Matt.
Right.
And the only thing Matt had left was his faith.
Right.
Which is what this show is really building to, it's that, you know, I got to have faith that things will work out in the end. Like, that what I am doing will continue to, like, I can continue to push through this.
Right.
I mean, Brian Michael Bendis would even play with it in his, once Matt's secret is revealed in his run, and everybody now knows Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and it's his faith under the scrutiny, you know, because then of course as they do later in this series, it's once you find out that he is in fact Daredevil, what does that mean to all these criminals that he put away as Matt Murdock?
Right.
And then, Ed Brubaker in his run,
Yeah.
He pushed Matt into the metaphorical and literal darkness. And it's constantly, like I said, it's that, can Matt be a good person? Can he do good as the lawyer Matt Murdock while also being, the devil of Hell's Kitchen? So, yeah, it's just great depth, which is one of the reasons why I like this character so much.
Yeah. Well, and it's struggles that everybody deals with, right? I mean, like right and wrong, and am I doing enough to help people? But also, at what point does that become evil? And what point is it still... I mean, it's just these questions that are just profound. And seeing a comic book character, because people think comic characters are, silly and just happy-go-lucky and, whatever. But, they're characters, just like they're human, just like we are. And so Charlie Cox really effectively portrays that.
Yeah, and then of course that all culminates in the finale, episode 13, officially just called Daredevil.
Right. Okay. Can we talk about real quick? Can we talk about his cowl and the suit?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. When I saw the concept art for the suit, I loved it. I know there was more black than I would have liked, but I thought it worked. I thought it was fantastic. When I saw it actually realized, it wasn't quite the same effect, and I think it's all because of the cowl. The cowl doesn't quite fit his head. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. There's something about the cowl that just doesn't fit his head quite right. I get the idea is that it is supposed to be a protective helmet.
Right.
And so they didn't want it to look too latex like, like a Batman cowl or even like the one that, Ben Affleck wore in the movie. So I got that. It kind of grew on me. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much they developed the design of it throughout the series. So it kind of grew on me as the show progressed, but yeah, we get him here, and I will say, to Marvel standards, this was kind of a restrained finale.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what made it effective. You get Matt embracing the superhero aspect of his character, but we also get the fact that his quote-unquote victory is temporary.
Right.
So, Fisk is defeated, but he's not gone forever, and Matt's life is still kind of broken, and we don't really get the triumph that you would get out of a normal superhero story. But we talk about the choreography and all again, what did you think about that alley fight between Wilson and Matt, or Daredevil?
I liked it because Matt's very acrobatic, and while there's a lot of also just straight up boxing in his style, combined with some of these other martial art moves, the Kingpin is all just raw strength, right?
Power, yeah.
It's all about just, like in Rocky Balboa, right? When Sylvester Stallone's training to fight this young guy, he's coming back, and they're talking about how he's this whatever ligaments bad and all this stuff, and so we're just going to focus on power, just brutal, you can hear when he hits someone, you can hear the bones are going to crack, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's how powerful he feels, but it's also just like a caged animal. It's almost feral in his fight style. He's just he's cornered, and he's just going to do what he has to do. And so I liked seeing the difference between the two. And I think if it had been, if this was a kung fu movie or something else, it would have been a completely different thing, not authentic to the characters. But in the way that it was set, I felt like each person really exemplified their strongest points of their character. Like the traits come out. And so there's a lot of things getting thrown around, and, some overall, I really liked it.
Well, and then it's that moment too where it feels like that Fisk has gotten the upper hand, that Matt can do no more, and he's kind of giving that speech as he's beating Matt, pretty much talking about how, the city is nothing to him.
Right.
And of course that gives Matt that energy again,
Right.
where he goes, "This is my city."
Yeah.
And I really expected him though to grab his arm and just snap it. Like
Yeah, there was
I
a little
really
bit of
thought-
that. Yeah, there was a little bit of that was missing.
yeah.
I can see why they didn't do that, because then it would be really obvious when Matt comes in with a broken arm that like something happened. He's definitely Daredevil. But
Well, nobody saw this fight though. Like,
well, I guess yeah.
he's a blind guy. He falls down the stairs.
It's probably true. Well, but either way, yeah, it could have been. It was a little more restrained compared to some of the earlier fights that we saw. But remember, those earlier fights with everybody, whether it was Nobu or the assassin or even with Stick, all those guys were like seasoned martial artists. And so I felt it was appropriate for him and Fisk, for Fisk just being like the brawler and just like, I'm going to crush you with my hands. So it was very appropriate, even though it could have been maybe a little longer. I would have also liked to have seen maybe a little bit of longer fight.
Yeah, look, any fight in this, I would have no problem with watching more of. All right. Well, let's. I think we've talked enough, and like I said, I'm not going to get into all the little details. This is again 13 hours of stuff to
Right.
talk about. Yes, I know there's a picture of Stan Lee in one of the episodes, so
Right.
Stan Lee has his cameo. I know. Jerry and I talked about this. There's a poster that says Parker versus Morales. I think at the gym. So. Yeah, I mean the guy that
that his
dad was supposed to fight, is Absorbing
Creel,
Man,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Creel.
Yeah.
So
great.
yeah, so I know there's all these references. I'm not going to get into them. We're not going to talk about it. So let's just go ahead and get into our final decision: bag it, stack it, or trade it. Jerry, what say you?
Bag it, man. This is great. I love this. I watch this one about once a year.
Oh wow,
Yeah, well, at least my favorite parts.
yeah.
It's long. It's 13 hours. I can't watch
Yeah.
the whole thing, but I watch my favorite parts, and that includes season 2 and 3 as well. Like I'll try to cram it in there. Before we go, what'd you think of Born Again?
I actually haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay. No comment then.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those I really want to be able to sit down and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've talked about on this show before, it's hard sometimes, especially with something like that when I've got smaller children,
Yeah.
like to be able to commit. Like honestly, I was trying to watch a movie today, unassociated with the podcast. Was trying to watch a movie. It was like a 2-hour movie. It took me about 4 hours to get through it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because I kept having to pause it, and it wasn't a bad movie. It was just I wanted to pay attention to it, and so kept having to pause it to do things. So yeah, I haven't found the time to sit and watch Born Again. Hopefully, I will get around to it before season 2 comes out.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, this is absolutely a bag it. I would put this as essential viewing.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And not just for comic book fans, like anyone interested in how you can take a superhero comic book story and adapt it in a thoughtful and creative and cinematic way, because it is confident, it is character driven, it is unafraid to slow down until it hits that episode 10 with Foggy and
Right.
and Matt. So again, it's not perfect, but it establishes a template that very few superhero shows or even movies have been able to match.
Right.
And I will stand by Daredevil, at least definitely season 1,
Yeah.
as one of the essential things to watch if you want to get into any type of comic book viewing or whatnot. So 100% a bag it. But to throw out a recommendation, as I like to do, if you are a fan of Daredevil, and especially what you see here in season 1, my recommendation is not going to be one of the Frank Miller things. I am actually going to recommend the run from the early 2000s from Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev, I believe is how you pronounce it. That run is it treats Daredevil less like a superhero and more like the crime figure trapped in a collapsing world. It deals with the long-term consequences. It has the legal drama. Matt's his struggle with separating his identities, and as we've talked about, the cinematography here, the artwork done in this is great. The slow burn storytelling, it feels like it's a great pair with this. So yeah, I mean, go out if you want and read the Frank Miller stuff to see all that we've been talking about. But if you want to go beyond that, I would hit this run from Bendis and Maliv as well.
Yep.
All right. Any last words, Jerry, before we wrap this one up?
I mean, this is a really, really great piece of art, and it's a great television show. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah. Season 2, episodes 1 through 4 are probably my favorite, like, comic book thing ever. They capture it so well. Then season 2 kind of goes downhill a little bit. We won't talk about that. But then, season 3 happens and it's great again. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a really, really, almost perfect show. Almost. I'm going to put almost there. And it really sets up a world that we get to see more of with Jessica Jones. And then, as you mentioned, Luke Cage. And when we tied them all together in Defenders, it wasn't that great, but seeing them all together was pretty darn cool. So
it was,
yeah, and it all started because of the show. So yeah, you got to check it out. You're right; it's just a great piece of television. Whether or not you like comic book movies or not, you got to watch it.
Agreed. All right, well let's wrap this up with my last little lines here. Daredevil season 1 works because it understands that being a hero doesn't make your life better. It just gives you a reason to keep going when everything is falling apart. Matt Murdock doesn't fight because he believes he'll win. He fights because stopping would be worse. For today, for Moving Panels, I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.